Okay, my name is Shirley Winston, and I don't tell everybody this, but I am 77. To most people, I'm just 69 or 70, depending on the day. I hate getting old, and I'm not going to do it. I'm very happy with being 69. My husband passed away 3 years ago, and I immediately sold my home and moved to Grafton, Massachusetts. I was very lucky to find a very nice furnished apartment near my only son, David. He is married with 3 children, twin girls, Sarah and Sandra. They are 17 and are real good kids. Like I always say, they take after their father. It's hard to believe they will be off to college next year. Then there's Ted, and he is a handful. He just turned 15, and you would not believe the trouble he's been in. Even though I love him dearly, I fear there is a rocky road ahead for all of us. Of course, I can't forget my daughter-in-law, Carol. She is a piece of work, always into something new and never finishing it. Right now, she thinks she's a writer, and I read some of her stories, and she's no writer. Whenever the two of us get together, there's always a mix-up, and of course, I'm to blame. Like the California thing, I know what she said to me. She came to my apartment cool as a cucumber she was, and told me she was moving to Hollywood tomorrow to become a writer. I asked if David and the kids were okay with that, and she said of course they are. I was in a state of shock. I couldn't believe it. She was leaving her husband and children just like that. Yet that was so like her, not caring about anyone but herself. My poor grandchildren. Thank goodness they're almost grown. My poor son, of course, would be better off without her, but try telling him that. I knew what I had to do. I called my landlord and told her, due to an emergency, I was giving up my apartment as of Saturday. I knew my place was with my son and his family. By Saturday morning, I was ready to go. What a struggle I had getting those suitcases into my car. I didn't tell David I was coming. I thought it would be easier on everyone if I just showed up. In a little less than 10 minutes, I arrived at his home. I noticed the garage door was open and the empty space next to my son's car. Why not, I thought, as I drove into Carol's spot. To be honest, it took me 4 tries to get in there, but I didn't hit anything. I did make a lot of noise, so I wasn't surprised when David joined me in the garage. Mom, what are you doing here? You are being so brave. I know everything, my dear son. Carol told me how she is leaving you and the kids to live in California and become a writer. Ma, I should have mentioned it before, but I think you need hearing aids. I certainly don't need any such thing. Ma, you got the California part right, but she's at a 4-week writing seminar with a group. I will take you home and the girls can pick me up later. You can't, I screamed. I gave up the apartment. You did what? Yelled David. David and I stood there in silence. Finally, he reached into the back seat of my car and took out the suitcases. The tension was broken by Ted joining us. What are you doing home? I thought you were playing baseball, asked his father. It's starting to rain, so they canceled it. Mrs. Murphy gave me a ride home. He gave me a hug and then asked a question. What are all these suitcases doing here? They belong to your grandmother. She is going to be staying with us for a while. That is great, Grandma. Then I heard him whisper to David, does Mom know? Not yet. Grab one of those bags and take it upstairs to the guest room, and I will take up the other 2. Within what seemed just like minutes, I was sitting on the bed in the guest room with my suitcases open in front of me. It was much smaller than I remembered it being, and I hated the blue wallpaper. Just then there was a knock on the door, and my granddaughters came in. Hi, Grams, they said in unison. We hear you're going to be staying with us for a while. That'll be great. Let us help you put your clothes and other things away. No, I can do it myself. Your father offered, but I said it would be easier if I did it. Nonsense. It'll only take us a few minutes. Just tell us where you want everything to go. She was right. In no time in all, I was officially a member of my son's and daughter-in-law's household. for better or for worse. As the three of us walked down the stairs, I asked where they were this morning when I arrived. We both work at the coffee shop. On Saturday we go in early, said Sarah. Well, if you need a ride, I'd be happy to drive you. Thanks, Graham, but we have Mom's car while she's away. Well, when she gets back, I could take you. No need. Mom takes us. She meets some friends there, and they have coffee. We're not supposed to tell anybody, but once she had a donut. You know what a health freak she is, said Sandra. I'd forgotten about that. Oh, dear, what was ahead of me? Was I right to be worrying, thinking back of all the meals I had at my son's house that Carol had prepared, and how many times I almost threw up? My only hope was that David would let me cook, at least until Carol got back. Of course, that wasn't going to happen. It seems David had also turned into a health freak. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against healthy food, but it has to taste good. If my son thought he achieved that in the meal he served Saturday, he was very wrong. Of course, that was just my opinion. The kids seemed to like it okay. Sunday morning, after we all went to church, David headed for the golf course, and the girls headed to work. That left Ted and I on our own. I was trying to decide what to do when the phone rang. Ted answered it quickly, and I could tell it was one of his friends. What I picked up from the conversation was that someone named Mike wanted Ted to come over to his house. I heard Ted say he had no way to get there. Both cars were gone. That is when I jumped up from my chair. I can take you, I yelled. Ted mumbled into the phone that he would call back and then hung up. That's okay, Grams. I can go when Dad gets home. No, I will take you. I'll pull my car out of the garage right now. I got something to do before we go, said my grandson. That's all right. I'll be in the driveway when you're ready. Well, I sat there. Where was Ted? Suddenly I looked up and my son David was standing there near the car. I got out and stood next to him. You're home early, I said. Ma, I am a coward. Thank goodness my kids are not. They come right out and say what they think. David, what are you talking about? I'm talking about you giving up driving. I should have said something months ago, but I never had the courage. Have you gone crazy? There's nothing wrong with my driving. In fact, I'm taking Ted over to his friend's house as soon as he gets out. No, Ma, you're not. The kids have made it very clear to me. Even though they love you dearly, they don't love your driving. Ted called me at the club all upset and frightened about you driving him to a friend's house. This is getting more ridiculous by the minute. Ma, where are we standing? Grass, of course. Oh dear is right. When you backed out of the garage, you landed in the middle of the lawn instead of the driveway, and in doing so, you killed Carol's favorite rose bush. He took my hand and gently led me to his car. He opened the passenger door, and I slid in. I'm going to put your car back in the garage, and Ted and I will be out in a few minutes, said my son. I watched in horror through the car window as he drove my car over his beautiful lawn and by the now deceased rosebush. David and Ted soon joined me, and we were on our way. Our first stop, I presume, was Ted's friend's house. He mumbled me a goodbye and listened as his father said his sisters would pick him up later. Now it's our turn, Ma. Are we going somewhere, I asked. Indeed we are, and I want you to keep an open mind. That sounds very mysterious. Can't you just tell me? We'll be there in a few minutes and I'll explain everything. He pulled up in front of a very attractive complex. It looks like a small group of buildings all hooked together. Ma, this is Vintage Hollow, and we're so lucky they're having open house today. Oh no, it's a nursing home. How dare you try to put me in a nursing home? I will tell you right now I'll not go. Ma, Vintage Hollow is far from that. It's called independent living. Everyone has their own apartment, and they can come and go as they please. They serve 3 wonderful meals a day, including afternoon snacks. Think of it, Ma, no more cooking. Let's go, David, I've seen enough. I can't leave just now. I made an appointment with Janet Morris to to tour the vintage. Ma, please come with me. Of course I will, but I'm telling you, it's a waste of time. I will never, never live here. Once inside the library, we were met by Janet Morris, and suddenly someone was calling my name. Shirley, how great to see you. The name of the woman that was so happy to see me was Mary. She lived in the same apartment building that I had recently left. She had moved out months ago, and I had no idea where she went. Shirley, you must be here for the open house. Take the tour, and you will fall in love with the vintage. Let me list the things I was wrong about. Mary was right. I took the tour, and I fell in love with Vintage Hollow. Since moving here, I am not fighting old age anymore, and I don't lie about my age. Vintage Hollow has taught me to cherish every day. Getting back to the list, David was right. I needed hearing aids, and I should not drive. I was wrong about Ted. My son bought a dog, and now Ted wants to be a vet. My son says get good grades, good marks, and keep out of trouble, and it's a deal. I was not wrong about David and Carol's cooking. It's still awful, along with her writing. I'm so mellow these days, they will never know how I feel. Oh.